February the 11th, and we'll make this we'll put this on YouTube. February the 11th, 2010,
Yep.
the Langley Event Center.
That's correct.
Time, 3 o'clock, 4 o'clock?
3 o'clock.
3 o'clock, 3 p.m. When's it over?
7.
Okay, 3 to 7 or so. You're speaking?
Yep.
And what are you going to speak about?
Estate planning. Your legacy.
The legacy.
What are you going to leave behind when you go? And how long is it going to last?
Yeah.
Who's going to fight over what you leave behind?
I mean,
is the government going to steal it all in taxes?
Are you going to do something about wills, like who gets the piano?
Everything. Everything. That's what it's about.
Okay. So we're going to do a deal on, and it's going to be Canadian estate planning, though.
Oh, for sure.
Okay. And that's what you're going to talk about. And are you going to do things like segregated funds and so on, so that you can leave things to
when you
specific
talk about,
people and keep them
you can't talk about
will?
estate planning without talking about segregated funds. You can't. It doesn't work. Segregated funds is a fabulous tool for estate planning.
Okay. Why? Well, what is a
because
segregated fund? Tell me that first.
A segregated fund is a fund that where technically the money that's in the segregated fund isn't mixed with the other life insurance money. It's segregated, number one. Number two, it's a mutual fund or a bunch of mutual funds with an insurance wrapper around it, where the insurance company that underwrites it provides certain guarantees. They can be different. It can be a guarantee of 75% in 10 years or 100% in 10 years, or it can be a guarantee that your principal is protected, a guarantee of 5% or 6% income from the investment for the rest of your life. It can be an annuity, which is guaranteed, a liquid annuity or an illiquid annuity. There's all kinds of shapes and sizes of these things, and they're structured by the insurance companies who compete against each other, everybody trying to come out with the best one. The most favorite product that we have right now is started out with Manulife Income Plus.
Yeah.
Manulife Income Plus, they launched that about 4 years ago when they bought out John Hancock in the United States. This was a John Hancock product for years, very popular in the States. Manulife bought Hancock out, saw this product and said, we need this in Canada. So they launched it. The product essentially has 3-year resets every 3 years, pays a 5% bonus if you don't draw income out of it, which is great.
So the 5% bonus goes back into the fund.
That's right. And then along comes Desjardins, okay, that they have a product called Helios. Well, it pays a 7% bonus instead of 5%, and the resets are every year instead of every 3 years. The products inside it are basically the same. So I think it's a better product because of that. Okay? But there's a bunch of other insurance companies that have them, and almost every one is the same, with the exception of Desjardins Helios. 7%, 1-year reset. That 1-year reset is the big
Well,
factor.
sure, because if you're...
I had a client come in to see me today. He was in 6 months ago. He's got one of these products. His account 6 months ago was worth $350,000. You know what it's worth today?
$475.
$450.
$450.
Yeah. Okay. So he's up $100,000 in 6 months.
That's not bad.
And he's got underlying guarantees on top of that.
Yeah.
Now, the problem with this one, 3-year reset.
So
he's got to wait 2 more years before it resets. And so 2 more years, he hopes the market doesn't go back down.
He's in one of the 5 or 6 companies that have a 3-year reset.
That's correct.
Okay.
So I don't like to get into comparing products by name. I try to avoid that. I did mention 2 names there, but that's for the sake of illustration.
Well, the first, you'll remember, I'm sure, if I think so, that I heard, what did I hear? CBC Marketplace? I think it was on CBC anyway.
Yeah.
I heard somebody talking about the Manulife product.
Yeah.
And I phoned you all excited to say, hey, you got to look at this one, Fred, because this sounds like it's fantastic. And you, of course, already knew about it, but I think it's the one of 2 things in the 20 years we've known each other that I've ever phoned and said, you got to make sure.
Well, I got to give you credit. A couple of years ago or so, before we get into all the market trouble that we've had, you called me one day when the markets were doing quite well, and you said, I got a good word from lots of people that say that you should get your clients out of the market.
Well,
you were right.
Yep. But the reason for that is is that your client, because of your licensing,
Yeah.
you deal with people in BC,
Yes.
right?
Mm-hmm.
And because of what I do, I've got clients in 40 different countries. And my clients are in gold mines, or building bulldozers, or catching pigeons or penguins in Antarctica, or they're doing a little bit of everything.
Yeah.
Like Richard, who's running our show today, sets up cameras in eagles' nests so that people can watch eggs hatching. I mean, talk about weird, right?
Well, he is weird. I always thought he was weird.
But he's also the first. He and his partner Stuart Lynn were the first people in Canada to produce provide internet services.
I know that.
For the commercial.
And he's the guy that taught me how to cut and paste.
Well, he taught me a lot more than that, but we were not talking about sex lives. Anyway, making a long story
now, what
short.
does cut and paste have to do with sex? No, don't go there.
You've never tried cutting and pasting?
No, never.
Anyway, making a short story long, my clients, you know, like, I had the vice president of a major bank in the Grand Caymans, who told his sister, whose money was in his bank, and I won't name the bank, to get her money out of everything that the bank had that was an investment. We had guys in gold mines in the old Maldives. We had Barrick gold, and what I found out was that all these companies were cutting down in what they were going to, all the building projects and all the expansion everywhere, the whole world. These companies were doing that. And if they were going to be doing all this stuff, there was something wrong, because they all thought they were.
It's the same. If you, like Greenspan his favorite economic indicator used to be inventories.
Yep.
So he'd say inventories are down. So nobody's building up their inventories. So this here was a classic indicator that all these corporations and all these heads of these corporations are believing that we're heading into some bad times. So the last thing they wanted to get stuck with tons of inventory. Yep. So it's a good leading economic indicator.
It's a forward-leading indicator.
Yeah, that's right. And you have housing starts.
Yeah.
And you've got spot commodity prices. You've got the stock market itself, which is a great economic. We've had this fabulous year in the stock market, probably the best year since the Great Depression. And a lot of people aren't aware of that.
Yep.
And the stock market is saying we're heading into some really good times.
Yep.
But hardly anybody believes it.
Well, it's interesting because the job losses have sort of slowed down. See, like I've had the worst year in business I've had in 46 years. My tax business has been good, but my consulting business, where I charge by the hour to give people advice.
Charging too much, you've got to cut your fee back.
No. That consulting advice for tax situations, particularly multi-country, everybody lost money, so nobody was. I mean, losses are a lot easier to deal with than profits, and as a consequence, my consulting fees fell by $10,000 a month, which was something that I didn't even see, even though these people were telling me.
That itself, it's an economic indicator.
You got it. And I have a compatriot who lives in Boston and does something similar, but not the same as what I do. His statement to me 6 months ago was that he's out of business for 5 years. And the reason is his clients have had 5 years, have got enough losses to deal with 5 years. And over